Okay, welcome back to Comedy or Worse. I'm here with my very special guest,
Cheryl Sonstein.
Yay! That's the inside joke. How long does it take for the guests to say their name? I could barely pronounce names on the open mic. Sometimes I even get people's last names that I know how to pronounce wrong just because of the pressure. So you were telling me right before we started recording, this is your very first podcast at all, which is...
Yes, which is why if I don't know where to look or what.
No, you don't. You could look...
Or have like
look out in space.
10-minute delay in answering.
No, it's just a conversational podcast. I mean, I have a list of questions. We want to talk about comedy in general. And the podcast goals are to encourage people to go see live comedy. To find out more about each comic in San Diego and comics visiting San Diego. It's an in-person podcast, trying to keep to that.
Do people
not
usually
over Zoom or something? What's that?
Okay. Oh, do people usually listen or watch or both with podcasts?
The podcast started off with just audio, but
And now
with technology moving forward, we're more doing. More people are watching, or they'll be, watching where it's on YouTube and they're not on the screen or whatever. Yeah. So how are you doing today?
Good. A little hot, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
We're recording now during a heat wave, as I'm sure
we're
maybe
sitting in the brick room at the Madhouse Comedy Club. The air conditioning is on, but it is 80 degrees. And let's improve the lighting. So I purposely have the lighting off until I need it because, even though it's not that much, it does heat up the room a little bit.
Yes.
Even though there's LEDs. It's just psychological that it heats up the room too, right? The lights have been on for hours. All right, so you don't use the stage name, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Just Cheryl Sonstein. That's me.
Being dangerous out here. Who knows what will happen?
I don't want to jinx it, but I don't know of anyone else named Cheryl doing comedy in San Diego right now, so sort of like that. You can sort of generally now go on a first name basis. So.
Sure.
Of course, now that I said that, they'll be like 50 Cheryls. I know, but
they could always be Cheryl with an S too.
That's true.
My niece has an S, and then she has 2 L's at the end of her name as well.
Oh, wow.
Her mom just was like, let's be different.
I've seen a lot of, besides just CNS, I've seen a lot of variations on it.
Right.
How old is your niece?
So she is in her 30s. She's like 17 years younger than me, 18 years, I don't know. It's all blur. I know my oldest sister's oldest son is 15 years younger than me. And then it was like a couple of years before she had her second child, Cheryl. Yeah. Her oldest daughter. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about comedy.
Okay.
So how did you get into comedy?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, Aaron. It was always something I'd kind of wanted to try.
Yeah.
I used to go to Comedy Heights a lot when it was at Twigs. Remember that? Back in...
No.
Now it's at Lestat's. It was a free show at Twigs, which closed down for like years. And I'd been thinking about auditioning, and that was like the only comedy thing I knew at the time. And they said you can do a 3-minute audition. And just when I was thinking, I'm going to try it, then COVID happened.
Oh, yeah.
And then that derailed everything. And then basically when it ended, I said, I'm going to really do this. And then I literally Googled how do you become a stand-up comedian. and Google said take a class, and then I literally
Of course.
Googled classes in San Diego.
Of course, Google wants you to pay for something.
Of course it does. And that brought me to the class at Mic Drop with Jesse and Bijan, which now I think Jesse still does it. Bijan doesn't anymore, but it was with the two of them, and then everything sort of blossomed from there, and that was in January of 2023.
Wow. Cool.
So like just shy of 2 years.
Well, yeah, I guess the class really paid off because you're doing good.
It did. I think classes aren't for everyone, but I was just at the Mic Drop sort of new comic thing with Camille and Lisa on Saturday, and there were some like really new people there, and I was like, classes aren't for everyone, but I think it was really good for me, both for like the networking and like figuring out where to go, and then even just like how to be on stage and acknowledge the light, and which has like, it sounds really basic when you've been doing it a long time, but it's sort of like, well, how would anyone know that if you
Right, yeah.
So
I don't always even do the thing that other comics do that maybe they would tell you to do. Like, oh, say something about the host as you leave. I'm like, I just say bye.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's a different style.
Well, they would have. So what I liked about Mic Drop is they have a 6-week class, and then they give you an actual show on the main stage, and then it was just kind of funny because they would say stuff like they would, and for most of the people, it's their first time ever on stage or in a comedy show, and everyone would get up, and I went to one of the shows later, and everyone would get up and be like, "Give it up for your host," and then later Jesse was like, I got there were so many people. There was like 14 people. He's like, it got so redundant, but it's also their first show, right. So we didn't want to tell anybody. We basically told them, to say that, I guess, or that's good. Right. It's a good starter and it's a good ender too. If you're like, so.
I have got off stage and said, give it up for Toast before, and no one ever has noticed or said anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's my inside joke to myself. Yeah. Maybe I'll bring it back. You never know. You got to listen carefully. You got to see live comedy and see. Did he say Toast?
That's actually a good idea. Yeah, you could like mumble anything as you get off, or like
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. So, do you wish you started comedy earlier?
Oh, good question.
I have a few good questions. That's it.
Yeah, it's not your first podcast, I know. I do, but it is what it is. I was.
What's the earliest would have been a good time for you think?
I don't know. I just, I didn't take the first class till I was 43. I'm gonna be 45 next month. I mean, what I like about it is there's so many different ages of people doing it, from like 20-year-olds. I mean, even 13 if you count Kyle.
I don't know. He's an anomaly.
That's an anomaly, but yeah, but everybody from like kids to grandmothers doing it, which is what I like about it. And I don't know. I just, after finding this community, it's just sort of like, oh, I wish I'd found it 10 years ago, but
right.
At least, probably more, but.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's fine. Yeah, I went to, what was it, Camille, I guess? A couple people were saying they didn't find it till they're like, we started late, we were like 30. And I'm like, okay. And I started really late in that case.
Right, sure. I'm like 40. I started when I was like 47.
Okay, there you go.
So, beat you by just a little bit. So you took a class, but do you feel like you got addicted right away, or did it taking the whole class, or what was that?
What was interesting was I didn't really have any expectations from the class. It was sort of like, I've always wanted to do this, let's take the class, let's see where it goes.
Right.
my first joke was not my first joke, but my first joke to my roommate was the class is like $250 for 6 weeks, and I'm like, well, if I sign up, then I'm definitely going to go and not drop out because I'm Jewish, so I'm not going to pay that much. And then, because I mean, people will drop out of the classes, or I'll even be like, I don't know if they get a refund or not, but I'm just, you probably don't, and I'm just
Probably
like, well, once once I pay and I'm in it, then I'm definitely at least seeing the class through,
Right.
And yeah, I mean, everything just sort of blossomed from there. I really enjoyed it. I met a lot of people that all came up through my first class with me. It's like Diana, Janelle, Oya. I don't know if you or your listeners know who all those people are, but
yeah. Met.
And
I think
and then Oya was the one she's actually into acting now. She doesn't even do comedy, but she was actually one she was really into it at that time. And then she was telling me about like the Comedy Store potluck, like how to get on. I think it was like a really good like beginner's luck sort of thing, because I think I got on the first potluck that I ever submitted for.
Yeah,
and I was like at the end too. It was like, so
dang, prime spot.
Yeah, so everything just sort of, I guess Oya was really helpful, I think, most in the class of being like, well, this is what you do now, because she'd already been through it. Like, you got to do potluck every Tuesday. I mean,
She had taken the class before? Or she...
Good question. I think so. I think she'd just been doing comedy and been around everything longer. So I just remember she was really instrumental in, like, being like, do you want to keep... Because after the class, it's kind of like, well, what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, what do you
all of a sudden just have it.
You're just famous now because you took the class. So I just remember her being really instrumental in like the open mics, and how everything's like do Comedy Store, and it was a little different then, but how now it's like El Cid, Quantum, like what you tell them to, like this is where you go.
Right. Yeah.
The Galley.
Definitely.
So, yeah, I think I just started doing the open mic circuit and just meeting more people. And
that's cool. It's kind of interesting that, like, in comedy, I see some, like, beginner classes, but then, like, in improv, they're like, here's level 1, level 2, level 3. Like, they've really, like, it's, that's a whole different system. More monetized.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at Mic Drop, I don't...
I'm not trying to talk down about improv either. I want to take improv. I just have to save the money and schedule a day, right? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they still do it at Mic Drop. I did end up taking 2 classes, and they did say beginner and advanced at the time, but advanced was just, I think, more to lean you toward like how to get booked. And the first class is all about just getting 5 minutes. You go on stage every class and perform, getting used to being on stage,
right,
and getting your first 5 minutes. And then once you're like in it, obviously there's a whole like, how do you get on shows? How do you produce shows? There's a whole other.
Cool. Nice. So what is your writing process for comedy?
Oh my God, that's such a good question, because like I don't really have one. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been really bad at coming up with new material.
Okay.
I'm really
well, everybody has their own journey.
I'm really behind on that. I don't know, I want to say I could probably do like 10 to 15 minutes of all the stuff I
Sure, but don't be too hard on yourself.
Accumulated?
That's a lot for how long you've been doing it, right? There's people that take years just to get a good 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know, it's just weird. You've probably experienced this where, when you go to the open mics enough, you see all the same people kind of doing all the same material a little bit. So it's kind of hard to say what and maybe try to work in a couple new things.
Right. I think for me, I'm like not absolutely sure how many of the jokes that when I put them away, I'm like banking them or just trying to come up with a better 5 minutes, a better 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, because some of the stuff I've said, like I would never say that again. Like it's just silly, or it's not good. Or I would do it again, and I would just do it better. I guess I don't know. It's all interesting. So have you ever like tried to character on stage or?
No.
Nope. Never done the characters.
No,
never gonna.
That's
nope,
not.
Can't make her.
For me, yeah.
Nope. Nope. Cool. So, what are your goals in comedy?
That's such a great question because we were just discussing this at the workshop on Saturday, and I don't really know, to be honest with you.
Oh, you know what I just thought of? It's tied to goals and writing new material. I'll tell this to everybody. Come to Comedy Your Worst writing workshop.
Oh, good plug.
At
Good plug.
Quantum Brewing every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Did I invite you to the list?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's every Saturday at 4:30.
Yeah, unless something happens. I picture it like even if somehow I'm not there, if other people come,
People will come.
we can ask people that have done it before or they've done a similar thing. Like Craig Sutton has Right Tight, and I'm not trying to like take. I hope he does that forever. Especially, I want to get back to it. It's just for me, Sundays is very hard to get away. Everybody wants Sundays off, so I have to work on Sundays. Unless I think I'm going to try to go to D&D this Sunday and just not, have the coworker come in early. So, but I guess I could just do that same thing for Right Tight. I don't know, whatever. Too much talking about me.
Well, how has Right Tight been? You've only had like 2 or 3, right?
Well, honestly, it's been a slow start, and part of it is that I, at first, was like, oh, I want people to come to PB Food Court, Madhouse's other place in Pacific Beach where we're just selling food. And I want to do a writing group. I'll just have it there. And like the most happened was one week 2 people came at the same time. That was the best. There was a few weeks, the first week that someone came, it was Jonathan Bird, he came. Thomas Lokenkard came the most amount of times. I'd have to really think how many times, like 3 or 4, but there was weeks that nobody came. So then once Saturdays at Quantum Brewing started happening, like the week, we did it 1 week, I'm like, okay, I will hold off and just see how good Saturdays are at Quantum Brewing, the open mic. And it's like, okay, I think it's good enough to where it justifies to having it there. Nobody came to the first week when I, tried to do it at Quantum Brewing, and then just like trying to think of all ideas, like promoting it more and stuff like that. So the second week, which was last week, 2 people came, and it was 2 people that I would think that they really benefited from it, but it would be nice to have it even more people, but not here to talk about that. Let's see, have you ever traveled to do comedy?
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
That's a good goal, actually. Just
Even an open mic is good.
well, just LA, I guess. I would guess the farthest
Can you
I've
go to
traveled so
Orange
far
County?
is Encinitas.
There you go. That's same county, but it's freaking far. Sorry, Encinitas. I used to live in Oceanside, but
We've talked about, I guess, some people, doing a road trip, but it's hard with everybody's schedule. Like, you know what I mean? We'd have to find obviously like the best days and times to go, and hopefully stuff you could definitely get on, because
stuff that you can definitely go on. Yeah, you got to go to like more like an independent mic, or like a, go to the mic where you pay $5 to get on. But the nice thing about those are that you're supposed to get there on time, sit through the whole thing, and people pretty much do that. So, and these are comics that you don't see, so it's almost like a real audience. Or I mean, it's a real audience, but it's like a tougher crowd because it's LA and they are all jaded or whatever. They don't really want to laugh at your stuff. Not even if it's. I'm sure people want to have a good time. It's just they've seen premises so much. Well, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody in LA. I've had good experiences going there. I do recommend it. So, I always ask this of everybody. I usually don't remember the answer myself, but do you remember when did we meet? Nope, she doesn't.
I don't.
What happened is Cheryl just appeared one day, and I appeared, depending on your perspective.
Well, the whole thing is that everybody I've met, outside,
just all
like,
met at the same time.
Yeah, outside doing the class is like, I can't say for certain what.
Right.
Probably maybe started seeing you at Lestat's. You were doing the vitamin D all the time, which you don't do anymore. Remember?
Yeah, I sometimes I felt uncomfortable trying to do that joke in front of kids.
I remember that.
It's like kind of awkward.
Quoting you from that, or knowing you doing that when I first met you, which I don't know if that gives you any more of a time frame, but
sure.
You were doing that a lot at the time, and
yeah.
I want to say maybe from Lestat's.
Yeah. Cool.
I mean, do you?
Oh no, that's why I preface this question at most every time. A few times I remember meeting somebody, but I guess I remember more meeting people when I first started comedy. Now that
I mean, like all the people at Quantum that are like always there, like Chuck and Xana and Fedwan, and like know them all, but could not tell you like when I
right.
go and you're like, hey, what's up, and you know everybody and you know their names and you know their bits, but I couldn't tell you like,
right.
Oh, the first time I saw Fedwan was
right. This is definitely another goal of this podcast is that me and other comics and the world in general can get to know you. They might, who knows, you might be like, I didn't tell that person that thing, and you're like, oh, I told Comedy Awards that. That's how.
Yeah, I see.
No, I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, the goal isn't to become the #1 podcast in the whole world. It's just to have fun while we do it. So do you have a favorite joke right now?
Of mine?
It could be whatever that means to you. It could be it could be a street joke. I don't know. A famous person's joke you just thought of, or how you hate the word favorite.
Well, my personal favorite joke of mine, which I always tell, is the one about the job interview. And they said, why'd you leave your last job? And I said, because my boss said Jesus is my Lord and Savior and he guides me. And I said, well, that's cool. Why does he guide you to be such a bitch? Because that was like based on a true story.
Right.
So, which I think all the best jokes are. I think they really did not like me at this job because I was Jewish, and we were all on like years ago on a group text, me and like a couple of my coworkers, and it was like New Year's, and I said like, oh, do any of you guys make resolutions or whatever? And the one texted back like I don't need resolutions, like Jesus is my Lord and Savior and he guides me, and that's where it came from. And I was just like, ooh, I'm not even gonna I it's like, that's weird, and I think over for a group coworker thing.
Yeah.
Or just kind of weird, I guess, at least to me. But I was
Kind
like,
of rude in some ways,
ooh,
right?
I'm not even gonna go near that, because I'm like, what am I gonna do? Be like, oh, I don't believe in Jesus on the group text. I'm just like, oh, okay, cool.
I'm perfect without Jesus, as I would say. No. So what's your favorite place to do comedy right now?
I don't know. Good question.
Or you just put them in order of your favorites.
Well, I haven't been up recently, but I do like getting picked at the Comedy Store, only because like that's a real audience. They've been getting a better crowd there, so it's open mic, but it's like you feel like you can really test your material, or there's going to be like 30 people there who don't know who you are at all in the audience. So I kind of like it for that, but I mean, everywhere's good. All the open mics are good. I like El Cid, which just started pretty recently in North Park. I like Quantum. I guess just the thing is, it just, as you know, depends how late you go up somewhere, because a lot of people leave, and then I don't mind performing for 3 people, but it's a little sad, and then you and they're not listening, and then you don't know if anything, you don't want to do anything new, or like you don't know if anything's working, because it's like there's 3 people here and they're all comics and they're all looking at their phones. So
yeah, I am trying to figure out how to get the comics to come back into the room too, because like there's times where you just never know.
Everyone's outside.
Yeah, everyone's outside.
Yeah, I mean, that was like at mic drop too. They waited for where your name was, and then they go outside, which, I mean, I think is kind of rude, but it's also like, I don't think you're ever going to be able to, or I mean, I don't know about you, I don't want to be the person to be like, everybody stay inside for the whole show, and then it's like school,
Oh yeah, I don't want to kill the good thing we have going there. It's just, I mean, I did like, it was nice where I'm like, can you guys come inside? Because we're going to do roast jokes, so people came in, so that was nice. And sometimes I ask people to, like, we're going to start the show, can you at least come in for the beginning of it?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Like, we can pretend like we have people.
Oh, right. You're going to roast Dayton, right?
Yeah.
Or is that, when is that?
That's next month
It's
at the
not for
Comedy
the
Store,
October.
October 3rd. Well,
Okay.
it's going to be already passed. So it was a great show. I'm
sure Aaron won.
I have no idea. I'm almost afraid to like break my losing streak. What if I just always do my best and lose? That would make a great story.
How many have you lost?
I've lost twice at the Comedy Store, once at Mic Drop. So I guess I've lost 3 times.
Oh yeah.
Would you ever? Wait, I can't remember. Have you
Do
done
a roast? I haven't.
Okay,
No.
I didn't think so. Would you ever do a roast?
And I think.
Can't never say never.
Yeah, I think if the right person challenged me, I think it would be fun to maybe try it, but I don't really see myself as like a roast comic. I know some of the women have done it and told me that they just went home and cried after, because they're like, it's so mean. And I'm like, well, it's supposed to be funny though.
Is it mean, really? Wow. I think that goes back to like, if I had started comedy earlier, I know for sure I couldn't do a roast or even like a heckler or other comics, and I'd be like, oh, I know they're just joking, but that hurt my feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. So what was your family like growing up?
They're pretty normal.
What does that mean?
Traditional. I don't have any like crazy. I do comedy because my family's like
It's not required.
My parents are still married, which that's pretty unusual. They actually just celebrated their 60th anniversary in July.
That's awesome.
And I'm the youngest of 3 children. I've got a sister and a brother. And we're from Pennsylvania originally. Well, my dad was born in Philadelphia and my mom was born in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. And they met down the shore in New Jersey. And then we all grew up in Pennsylvania. But since then, my whole family's actually migrated to the West Coast. I came with my parents in 1999.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, everyone except me now is in Oceanside.
Oh, wow.
My parents and my brother.
Well, I used to live in Oceanside
and my
for a long
sister.
time.
What part did you live in?
For a little bit, we lived by the beach, which was nice, but of course you don't go to the beach as much as you think you're going to. And then for a long time, lived off of Douglas and kind of off the 76, that area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just put a Wingstop there.
Wow.
Off Douglas, by the 7-Eleven.
Oh, right, by the 7-Eleven. That makes sense. Yeah,
It's
that
an exciting
whole,
time for me.
Yeah. I think some of that shopping center wasn't there at first, a few years back, especially that other part where they like phone store. I don't know. Local construction, yeah. So let's see. What was your earliest memory?
My earliest memory.
When you woke up this morning?
I don't know. The only thing that comes to mind is I don't know how old I was pushing like a little toy RV thing of dolls down the hill and then watching all the dolls fall out.
That's cool.
Yeah, you can edit that part out.
Closer
That's
to
a weird
you.
memory. Okay.
That way, I don't have to tell you to speak up. I just have the mic even closer to you. What's the biggest audience you've performed for? Don't have to have exact numbers. Don't worry. No one's verifying.
Just probably the mic drop shows. Either the Gold Room or the time we had the show in the main room is, I want to say, around between 50 and 60 people.
Cool.
I think that's
Have you ever
the biggest.
Have you ever done American Comedy Company for a sold out crowd?
I've never been to that one.
That's Tuesday nights.
Okay.
Just a
Which
little
is like
ways away.
around here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a little like old and
From 8 to 10?
skittish. Well, downtown. You know, I haven't. I've done the Madhouse mic like once,
Right.
and everyone's like, "You have to go to Madhouse," and you know, it used to be like 7 nights a week,
Right.
and then everyone was going to that, or they were at something first, and they were going to Madhouse because
Right.
it was later, and everyone was like, "Are you going to Madhouse?" I was like, "No."
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I know about Madhouse, ACC, Yellow Door, right? I haven't really.
Well, I mean, it's not required.
Done
Everybody has their
downtown.
own path, but yeah, that would, you know, you could
No,
do
I mean,
for
yeah, I'm not
170, 200 people.
just to go on like open mic.
Yeah, the open mic, yeah.
It's like 170 people.
Well, I mean, it depends. You know, if it's half full, it's 80 people,
Still.
but still.
Oh, okay.
You know, there's times where when it's half full, you know, it could be like 50, 60 of them are comics, but still, it's a different energy. It's, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, even though only 3 minutes, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's still a lot for a room of 100 people. Yeah, it'd be very different.
Yeah, for sure. So do you do any other type of art?
Well, I'm a writer. I'd consider myself a writer first, which was sort of what led into comedy a little bit. I do a lot of writing group stuff in San Diego. There's like Thursday Writers and Dime Stories and, different open mics. And I think actually starting that and reading at those open mics and what making people laugh was sort of what paved the way. And ironically, Dime Stories is an open mic that's for writers once a month, and you can read anything you want as long as it's not poetry, and it has to be 3 minutes or less. So it's just like a weird when I first started, or when I was first at Comedy Store and everything was like 3 minutes, I was like, oh, I've been really preparing for this my whole life without knowing it.
Right,
so.
You're just not even.
Or even like the Comedy Heights audition was like 3 minutes.
Right.
So it's like it's the magic number when you're starting out, I guess.
Sure. Makes sense. Cool. So are you writing short stories or novels or screenplays or top secret things?
I usually just write sort of like short personal narratives. The thing about Thursday Writers, it's a prompt group that's an hour long, and they just give you a prompt, and then everyone just writes to that for 15 minutes, and then everyone shares if they want to. So, for instance, last week was write about a porch, which is not my favorite, not that inspiring, but I mean, just to give you an example. So I do that I'm writing every week. I do that usually every Thursday.
Okay.
And a couple of years ago, I was involved with So Say We All, which is another writing thing, and they actually do shows at the Whistle Stop, which is a whole sort of curated process of they have a theme every month, and then you submit, and then if they accept you get like a writing coach and a performing coach. And I mean, that was actually my biggest crowd. That wasn't really comedy though. There's maybe 150 people in the bar, I want to say.
Cool.
But it's called VAMP, which is like an acronym for video audio monologue performance, and they also put like pictures behind you to illustrate the story. So it's like a whole thing. So I did one of those, which was in 2015, which was a long time ago already. Mm-hmm. And I also did, I'm very proud of this, so I'll plug it. They had a contest for true short stories that they made into film.
Wow.
And I had 2 of my stories picked.
That's awesome.
There was like a FilmCon challenge, and I forget what it was, but the teams had either like 30 or 60 days to just go from the story to having a short film.
Yeah. And
my film about being a caregiver, because that's kind of like my main job.
Yeah.
Called Isabel, was nominated, I think, for 6 San Diego Film Awards.
Damn.
And won 3, including Best Writing. And this would have been like, thank you, this would have been like 2017, 2018. But I still have my trophy, so.
That's right. Cool. So do you think that those exercises help with comedy, or is it like feel separate, or?
Taking time to write anything I think is good, which is why I always go back to Thursday Writers. I mean, that, and it's in Normal Heights, so it's in my neighborhood, so it's convenient. But I think that's why I always want to go there, because they have all these rules, and one of the rules is like, even if you write the worst junk in America, or some days you will, it's important to just write.
Right.
So I I think it's good in that sense, but I think most of the writing is, I mean, the caregiver story is like super serious, I think, and kind of heavy, so. But, you know, like I said, I think it's all related, because I think doing writing open mics and making people laugh was sort of paved the way for, because one of those people where people were like, oh, you should do comedy. And I was like, I would never. I was like, oh, you know, I'm always like, yeah, maybe. Right. And now a lot of friends are like, I told you.
Yeah, that's good. Sweet. Yeah, so that, hear that, if you are thinking about even doing writing, you should do it. Who knows where it will lead? Let's see. So, do you have like what's your best booking story? Like, oh my God, I can't believe I booked this person, or I can't believe I booked a show, got booked on a show.
Well, I'm very grateful to Bijan, who was one of the teachers in one of my first classes. He gave me my first real spot on a mic drop mashup show. So that was pretty cool. I've gotten a couple gigs like day of, which is always kind of, I mean, I guess sometimes they're like desperate. Can you do it? It's not like you're so great. But I forget where I guess Bolt, Bolt Brewing in La Mesa.
I've never been there. Sounds kind of familiar though.
Yeah, that was just kind of fun, because I think, to me, I think it's nice when people like think of you, and sure, even if it's they're desperate or whatever, but somebody put a thing that some comics dropped out. Can you do Bolt Brewing tonight? And you go on like really short notice, but I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah,
can be.
Have you ever shown up to support a show and then ended up going on stage? Yes.
Oh, you know what? Good question. Now you made me think of something. That's why you're such a good. That's why you're
I'm
the
podcast
best interviewer.
No one else knows it yet.
Mike McCullough does the show every week at U31.
Yeah.
And I've been on it, I think, twice, and it's also kind of in my neighborhood, so I go a lot. And one time, I think there was maybe only one girl on the show, or no girls, or he said there was supposed to be another one, and these girls were gonna be like, why don't you go up or something? And I don't know if they knew me or knew I was a comic or something, and I don't know, I was just like to Mike, can I go? And he's like, yeah, sure, because obviously they had cancellations. And I went, and I just like do my bit, and I get off stage, and these two girls at the bar were like, just thought I'd just did it out of nowhere. Yeah, they were like, oh my God, you're like the funniest one up there. Did you just like make all that up on the spot? I was like, because they'd obviously never been there before or seen me before, and that was really funny. I remember telling Mike, and he's like, you should have just been like, yeah,
I'm just natural.
I just get on stage. I have like a whole polished 5 minutes. I've got the timing down. It's amazing.
Yeah, you.
It's my first time ever on stage.
You pulled it off, right? I mean, that's the magic. People,
yeah,
even though they know that you're.
I actually think too. I can't speak for other.
They weren't very smart.
They probably weren't. No, I can't speak for other comics, but sometimes like just going up like that rather than just kind of impromptu is just more fun. Yeah. Like you have a show or something, and you're obsessing about it, and you're rehearsing, and it's like, you know what? I feel like I do better when it's just like, hey, do you want to do 5 minutes? Like right now? Like, okay. Like you don't have the time to be like, to obsess about it, I guess. So it's...
Right. Well, also, is you have enough experience where, like if day one, you've been doing 3 minutes this whole time, you're like, I think I got my 3 minutes, and then someone asked you, oh, you want to be on this show for 5 minutes? You're like, no. So would you ever do something like Kill Tony, or where you do like a minute? And then,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I know everybody talks about Kill Tony. I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure at what level. It's pretty. It's more famous since Urban, but they started off at the Comedy Store in Hollywood, and you would go up and do a minute of comedy, and then the panel would kind of ask you a question, which is going to roast you and stuff. But now it's so big. I mean, they're doing arenas and such. But
So it'd be really hard to get on now.
right, yeah. Well, they're in Austin too, so it's every Monday. So you go to Austin for 8 days, and like try to get up twice or something.
Have you done it or known people
Yeah,
that
I
done it?
was on it right before lockdown. I would love to do it again, but
Was it fun?
yeah, it was fun. I had a good minute and good interview. Not that everybody ever tells me. Oh, only comics are like, "Oh, I saw your Kill Tony's thing."
Yeah,
that was
that's what I
actually
was gonna
Rudy's
say.
first time on stage. He went up, I think, what was it, right after me or something? Or right before me, or I forget. I have to watch it again. Yeah. Let's see, what's the worst thing about comedy right now?
Too many guys talking about their dicks, but I don't really expect that to ever change. I don't know. I just wrote this. Well, you saw this post to Ragu about everyone's talking about being autistic and eating ass right now, or just. I'm kind of over those jokes, but I guess I know everything's sort of like cyclical of what's funny. But I mean, I don't know. It's nothing terrible. Just, all the regular stuff you're used to, like what we talked about, everybody being outside.
Yeah, come watch the show.
Yeah,
you never know
guys.
when something's gonna make you laugh or inspire you. There's jokes where I'm like, oh, they said this word. It'd be funny if made it into a whole other joke where it's not even related to what they did. Let's see. So, do you have merch?
I don't.
Uh-oh.
No
merch. Not any stickers?
I don't know. Well, I guess we're gonna get into this, but I produce and now co-produce with my friend Diana the show called Major Malfunction at Mic Drop, which is just a show. It's just all female comics and a male host. It's nothing, revolutionary, just a showcase. We all get like equal time. And my best friend from high school back in Pennsylvania has we make gifts for all the comics that are on the show.
Yeah.
And she's potter, ceramicist, or whatever you call it. So the first show she made, I should have brought one, Major Malfunction, ornaments. They were going to be keychains, I guess, but they were huge.
Huh.
So, and then the last show she made everybody magnets that say Major Malfunction on them, which right now is just for the comics. And she's also a regular person with a full-time job, but I did always think that could be a cool, if it got, popular enough at the very least.
Well, you got moved to the main room, so that was good.
Yeah, that was awesome. At the very least, sell some magnets after the show, maybe.
Well, I would suggest doing it donation-based because people will end up giving you more. But that's just what I've been told, and I've found. You just say, "Oh, it's a donation."
Whatever you can give.
It costs about X amount, like $1, and then they'll give you $5. And otherwise, people are like, you're like trying to sell for $5, and people are like, $5 for that? It's like I don't know. It seems.
Yeah,
to
it's
work.
weird. It's
seems
like
to
a
work.
like a psychological thing, right?
Exactly. Let's see. What else? So, do you think you would want to pursue like improv more at all, ever, or?
Probably not.
Okay.
I've seen.
No
I mean,
roast, no improv.
now that I'm doing
What about sketches?
comedy, sketches maybe. Now that I'm doing comedy more, I've like seen improv more probably than I have. I've been to Mockingbird, and they've done the show at Adams Avenue Theater.
Uh-huh.
But it's kind of like my friend Shelly says. She says, I think improv is a lot of fun to perform, but not so much fun when you're watching it, which I sort of kind of agree with. But yeah, I don't have a particular interest in doing improv. I mean, sketches or something. And I also don't think I'm like fast enough on my feet when they're, when they do the games and they're like, do this, do. But sketches maybe. Yeah.
Cool. All right, we're gonna film a sketch right now.
Okay.
Oh, damn it! That was the signal. Nobody came in. I guess we're not doing it.
This is the sketch. Me and Aaron are doing a podcast.
Yeah, we're only pretending to do the podcast.
Yeah.
Do you like our answers? We came up with them real on the fly.
Just made everything
This
up.
is a blank page. Let's see. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color.
I'm just coming up with new questions on the fly. Look at that. I'm so funny. Wait, what?
I mean, I guess I used to always say green.
Interesting.
But these days, I don't know, I've gotten a little darker. Maybe black.
Why?
I always wear gray or black right now, which is like, I don't think I'm trying to like make a statement. I gain a lot of weight, and it's usually more slimming, but I'm just like, every time I go to get dressed, I'm just like black. Just a black face, I guess.
So, yeah, black is nice because you can get it dirty, and everyone knows it's dirty. Haha. I made this up.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So, is there anything else that you are dying to talk about or want to talk about?
When will this be aired, so I know if I'm talking from the future or the past?
Yes, it's definitely in the future. Let me pull up. Okay, so looks like it's going to be October 21st. Ooh, should ask you Halloween questions.
Oh, wow, that's one day after my show.
Oh, darn it.
Well, you can't all come to Major Malfunction because it would be yesterday. But there should be another Major Malfunction on December 8th at Mic Drop. So everyone come to that.
Sweet.
I guess that's about it. I've really been trying to think about like what to do next. I was just saying at the workshop, like, I feel like everything happened to me fairly quickly. Everything just sort of, took the class and got a Comedy Store right away and got a show and then producing a show, and I think I've been sort of fortunate and lucky and in the right place at the right time that a lot of things seem to happen relatively quickly. But I am at a bit of a like, what else? They said whatever level you're at, there's always another level in comedy. So,
right.
And I'd probably like to try going to different venues
Yeah.
Not necessarily with Major Malfunction, but just another show. Maybe. Definitely traveling more, which you talked about, and they also talked about at the workshop. I sort of, kind of a homebody. I never sort of think of that, but I'm like, oh yeah, and we're only like 2 hours from LA, so.
2 hours. Geez.
I haven't even, my
it's
whole.
More like 2.5, 3, really.
Like 4 probably, depending when you go.
Stay at your parents' house in Oceanside.
I was just gonna say,
save like 45 minutes.
My whole family lives in Oceanside. I haven't even done Jazzy Wishbone yet.
What?
I know.
How are they? Do they not know about it or something? They should be like telling you, "Come over here."
No, they know, but I'm usually not up there on Thursdays because I work on Fridays, and then I guess they sort of do like raffle, and then like the one time I did it or video, I'm not even sure how you get picked. And one time I tried to get picked and I didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it is.
You call like I think it's sort of similar to companies. I think you call the day before or the day of. I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm just.
One time I did it, I just kind of was able to. I don't even think I did. I don't know. I think I just kind of did the open mic or something, or he put me on the show, even though I wasn't on the show or something. But
yeah, if I'm ever there, I could probably just go.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get on.
Yeah, exactly.
But
have them explain exactly how.
Yeah, just laughing because like I haven't even traveled to Oceanside. I haven't even get to Oceanside yet, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like when I started comedy, I was in Oceanside, and it feels like there wasn't as much comedy, but also I didn't know where to go.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know which is, there was like a mixed mic I was going to, then everything just kind of pulled me towards San Diego. Yep.
Yeah, I think a lot more is getting into North County right now from what I'm seeing. I know there's Escondido, there's stuff in San Marcos, there's stuff in Encinitas, which I don't know if is that North County? I guess so, right?
It's kind of...
It's kind of in the middle, but...
Yeah. Towards the edge of it.
I feel like a lot of people are living there and moving there and branching up. It's definitely just in like the year and a half I've been doing this, I would say it's a lot more.
Yeah,
and I know quite
sure
a few people
wasn't around when I started 6 years ago.
I know a lot of people live there because it's cheaper, or have moved there. So.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, there's a possibility I'll have to move back to Oceanside or something.
Don't do it.
I don't want to, but there's always a possibility.
All right. Well, you can come hang out with my parents. I mean, they have a pool, so.
Wow.
That's cool.
Definitely sounds good to me.
My whole life, I wanted a pool, and then we never had one because we lived in Pennsylvania, and then they got one. We moved here, and I was 19, and I was like, I don't want it now. Or it wasn't like the same,
Yeah, I have no life now.
Yeah, it's almost the same thing as like living by the beach. It's like you have a pool, and like when I go swimming, like it's always there. Like
Right.
And when you're like little and you get invited to a pool, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah. I like when I lived close to the beach. I felt like it was also close to a movie theater. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm going to the movies more than the beach. But what are you going to do? Nobody knows. So how can people get a hold of you on social media?
Oh, great question. Well, I'm just on Facebook as myself, Cheryl Sonstein, and Instagram is RylShay79. It's RYLCHE 79, which is just my name, sort of backwards a little bit. And the year I was born.
79.
Yeah.
Is that right? I mean, I know I could just look it up. Also, did I spell your last name or your name right?
You did.
I
You
did
got
it
'em both
from
right.
memory. I did it.
Real
And this is right?
That looks right, yeah.
Yay! I have to go back and finish or fix. Who was it?
Oh, you've got everybody.
I think I put who do you call it? Joshua Loya just told me I spelled someone's name wrong. I think it's the latest one. I don't know. I don't see what I'm doing wrong. I have to look it up. I'll have to fix it. Unless you can see what he said. I'm missing an N.
But which one are you looking at?
This one here?
Andre?
Or maybe that was an old message. That's interesting. Or maybe I fixed it, but I didn't fix it on YouTube.
Does it have an S at the end or a Z?
It's definitely an S. Because when he said I
everything else
spelled
was
it
fine.
wrong, maybe this is an old message. Because I think I fixed it. Well, I fixed it here. Maybe it's broken on YouTube. I don't know. I'll have to look at it. That's not what this podcast is about. We're not talking about.
It's not about misspelled names.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the old episodes. Although it would be interesting. Okay, so here are everybody that's been on the podcast. Are you surprised? Whoa! Sorry, podcast listeners. Is there anybody that you're surprised I have on, or any episode you're like, oh, I'd really love to listen to that person episode? I mean, some of these are just sound, and then eventually it went to audio.
No, I recognize.
She doesn't want to listen to any other episode.
No. I recognize almost everybody. I was just saying there's only a couple people I don't. I was kind of looking at that.
A couple of people you don't know, or?
Yeah, a couple names I don't recognize. Not very many.
You should name drop the people you don't recognize. Probably moved away or something. Or stopped doing comedy.
Art Bath.
Yeah, he's that newer comic.
His name sounds kind of familiar.
A Kilt, Ghost of Corner Bruin.
Oh, okay. I do know who he is. Marissa Papit?
Yeah, I haven't seen her around, but she did improv comedy.
Preston
He was
Dill.
doing Trump impressions. I haven't seen him around lately. He was a newer comic.
Who would I like to hear? Have you had Danny Ragu?
No, that would be great to get Danny Ragu, the Goo himself. That's it.
He's always been a bit fascinating to me because
I don't know if you would actually do a podcast. You would have to almost like have some recording device on
and
then record him and then tell him I recorded. Is it okay if I use it? No, delete that shit.
I think I first met him when he was hosting the open mic at Mic Drop.
Yeah.
And then we were never really sure how much it was a character or not. And then one night we were like outside the door, me and Diana talking, and he came out and he's all like, "Hey guys, I'm leaving." And then he was all polite and he was all like, "Oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you." And I was like, okay, I guess it's really a persona. It's just so I'd only really seen the persona up to that point. And he just comes out and he's like, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. You girls were talking. I didn't mean to, like, the politest thing you've ever heard. And I was like,
well, he's not on the East Coast anymore,
like,
right?
okay. Yeah.
He's not having to deal with all his annoying family or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, would be great to have him on. I definitely have to do a better job of reaching out to the people that aren't going to naturally do it. Well, I'm trying to get people's email addresses and then send them an invite to sign up at their convenience.
You have quite a...
It's been over a year.
Diana's going to do it, right? I know she wants to. I'm pretty sure she wants to. I mean, I told her I was gonna do it. I mean,
she might be scheduled, but I have to look.
Yeah.
Yeah, your episode would be 58. So it's every week. Didn't start off perfectly every week, but it's been about a year that I did it.
Every Monday?
Yeah, I was releasing on Fridays, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, no, it should be Mondays.
Yeah.
I don't know why I picked Fridays. I guess just felt so cyclically. A lot of things were easy to remember. Like, oh, Quantum released on Fridays. The episode releases on Friday, and then I was like, wait, no. Podcasts are like something people listen to in the car, in their commute or something. Yeah,
right.
Let us know where do you listen to the podcast? What's your favorite episode? How are you doing? Do you have any questions for the audience?
No. Just how are you doing?
Yeah.
Just checking in.
Just checking in, making sure you're still there.
You guys are okay. Yeah.
How is the future anyway? Is it good? Oh, I hope so. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I'll have had a birthday by the time this airs, so I guess happy birthday from the past. I don't know how that
telling
works.
Yourself happy birthday?
Or no, actually, it will be from the future.
Yeah.
By the time it airs, I'm like, wait, yeah. Yeah, happy belated birthday, Cheryl.
Yay. All right, so how do you feel about the episode? Do you feel like it's over? It's a good place to stop, right?
Yeah. I think it seems over unless you had any more questions for me.
Now the real torture begins. Now the gotcha questions start.
Oh, dear.
No, just kidding. Thank you everybody for listening. This has been another episode of Comedy or Worse. All right, bye.
Bye.